Coach Paul here, Real Geeks. Welcome to an episode of Keeping It Real on location, actually. We're up in Nanaimo, BC, of all places. Had to ride a ferry over here to meet with the number one real estate agent, number one agent team in Nanaimo, right? In BC. And according to this man's projections and goals and forecast, he would like to be number one in all of Canada by 2025.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal.
So, I mean, of all the places I could be, there's no place I would rather be than right here, right now with this man, Jason Simard, eXp Realty, Sims Realty team.
Sims Real Estate Group, but that's okay.
Sims Real Estate Group.
The guy's only been here for 4 hours and he still doesn't know our team name.
Are you a group or a team?
We're Sims Real Estate Group.
I know. I just playing with you, bro.
Killing me, Paul.
Thank you for having us up here.
Hey, thanks for being here, dude.
And one thing that I am so impressed with, beyond the beautiful weather, the gorgeous sights, and all of the bunnies I have seen all over.
This guy and the bunnies.
There's so many bunnies. If there's one thing about Canada that I will never forget in my mind, is those bunnies.
Well, let's just put it this way. Canada's a very large country. The bunnies are a very regional problem here. Some people let their furry friends out of their cages, and so they've multiplied rapidly. And so there's certain pockets of the city where you're going to see a lot of bunnies, but it's not a Canada-wide thing. It's here on Vancouver Island.
But what I'd like to do, because what we're here to talk about today and what we're going to be talking about is some exciting coaching programs that you're launching and also your wild success with Real Geeks. So we have gone literally international from the U.S. to Canada. It was a short flight, by the way, but we made the flight. We went through customs, here to talk to you. Not about the bunnies, but about your wild success in real estate with Real Geeks and also your coaching. And you're building something great, and we're excited to talk to you today, and it's going to be awesome. But it does remind me, too, though, those bunnies multiply.
Oh, yeah.
And 7 years ago, when you started off with 0 transactions, and now you've done over 2,000 transactions, that's multiplied, too.
Yeah.
So more than...
I'd like to hope that we can multiply at the same pace, but...
Bunnies are multiplying. Transactions are multiplying. Money's multiplying.
We're trying.
We're doing great things here with Sims Real Estate Group
Thanks
in Nanaimo, BC. Love having you here, even though this is your office.
You're in our podcast
We're literally
area.
in your podcast area.
And you're insulting us by not getting our name right.
I'm literally...
Who brought this guy? Who brought this guy
I'm
over?
literally in your
Seriously,
podcast.
yeah. It's a good thing. It's a good thing you're a good guy, because man,
I appreciate you being on.
Ryan, do you think we could deal with this guy, please?
I appreciate you being on, keeping it real. And today we are going to have a great time talking to you, because I want to hear all about success that you've been having. I want to hear about your story, and we're going to get down to the brass tacks of how our agents could be successful like you. Tell me your story. How'd you get started?
So I'll give you the quick version here. Before getting into real estate, I spent 2 years working for a competitor of yours. I didn't know about you until I was selling marketing services and real estate websites to agents all over North America. And
So you were selling against us?
Yes. And you guys kept coming up.
Oh my gosh.
You were the one company that I could never overcome.
So you're trying to sell against us.
Yes.
And it was bothering you because you couldn't essentially...
I'm unbelievable at what I do.
Business. Yeah.
I think anyways, I'm really good at it.
And you just couldn't.
Like I'd say 80% of the time you guys would get the client and I couldn't.
Gosh.
And it was like you were the one competitor. And when I actually looked at it and did a pros and cons list, I was like, oh, I see it. I understand why they're going there. And so for me, when I left that and I decided to build our real estate company, I knew exactly who I was going with because I already did the market research for 2 years. I worked with all the different players in the game, and I knew who the who's who of real estate websites were, and pound for pound, Real Geeks was the best platform.
I love that. So essentially, you're selling against us. You couldn't sell against us or win, right?
Not consistently.
Pound for pound, you said. So you left the tech company. You started in real estate. First thing you did, going to get a Real Geek site.
First thing,
just boom.
I knew right away you guys were my technology partner.
That was before thousands of transactions. That was before the big team, before the millions of sales. That was before anything. It was literally just you and Real Geeks.
Yes. And I knew of all the players.
Yeah.
I knew there was other companies that did really good real estate websites. There was about 5.
Yep.
But I knew who pound for pound was the best, and it was Real Geeks.
Pound for pound, the best.
Pound for pound, best
feature
price,
by
best
feature,
value,
best price,
overall
best value.
feature. If you took everything, Real Geeks was the best.
Real Geeks. So in the battle of the IDXs,
you're better than I thought you would be, and I thought you'd be really good.
And we're better.
And you're better. And I can say this. for 6 years in a row now, we've made over 7 figures every year from our Real Geeks website.
You're one of the fastest growing teams, #1 agents. Your team is sort of like a big deal, right? I know you would never say that, but I mean, I've heard you're sort of like a big deal here and looking to become like #1 in all of Canada, really, you know?
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
That's
our objective.
I love that.
More importantly though, Paul, like for me at this stage in my life, I love helping agents, right? I've dedicated my whole life to helping other agents because the more I do that, the more I can build income to help my partners.
Right.
So those 38 people that you mentioned, my goal is in the next 10 years is that they never have to worry about money.
Yeah.
So like the way I look at these companies, it's kind of like a mini Google.
Yeah.
You know, if you were an early adopter of Google, imagine you stuck it out and stuck around.
Yeah.
Everybody that was part of that would be multimillionaires now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, think about how many millionaires would have been created from Google or Apple.
Right.
Well, I want the people that are like early adopters of Sims and the vision that we casted.
Yep.
I want them to be able to get the fruits of that in the future.
Yeah.
And the only way to get there is to generally help thousands of agents in the industry.
Right.
And so at this stage, we've helped hundreds over the last 4 years through our coaching company.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we're here talking about is like, is there a collaboration that could happen between Real Geeks, Sims coaching systems? Like, how could we help more people together? Because I know you guys want to do the same thing. You want to continue to help agents level up by being a steady, stable technology partner that can produce world-class returns on investment.
Absolutely.
And so this is why you're here today.
Yeah, no, we're here. We're talking about partnership. You know, we're talking about, here's what I see on my end, you know, and I've been around, so working with agents for over 10 years. And I did some work. Worked at Zillow. I worked for a startup tech company. There was a company that had gone through group. It was basically we're selling leads, CRM, the whole bit. Got acquired. We did that a couple times. Made a couple exits. Essentially, working with agents. What I found, and by the way, funny story is, I remember my sales team used to sell against Real Geeks as well. And sometimes, you know, you talk about price, you talk about features, you talk about this, and Real Geeks was the one that I never really could overcome a lot of the stuff. At the end of the day, I was like, honestly, I would tell the agent, honestly, it sounds like it's a better deal. You might want to just go with them, you know? So that's funny when you come across that. But in any event, what I've learned about agents is, okay, so anymore, it's like they want to have this kind of success you've had, but they don't necessarily either know how to have the success you've had, or in some cases, they don't want to put in the work, right? They don't have the work ethic or the hustle. I know you're a guy who, you know, from your health routine, your workouts, your drive, your achievement, motivate. I know you're the kind of guy that gets out and hustles, but a lot of agents don't have that hustle, that grit, that determination. That's a whole separate thing. But if they do, they still don't know the steps to take. And that's where coaching comes in. 100%. And that's where what we've identified is, it's like we can provide a CRM, an IDX, the tools, right? We're kind of like a three-legged thing. We need to have the tools and the technology, right?
Which you do phenomenally well.
Right. Then the agent needs the tools and technology. Then they need the traffic, right? Like it's no good if you have, it'd be like having a sports car, race car, no gasoline in it, right?
You guys are a Ferrari.
Right.
And the marketing is the gasoline and the driver that's needed behind that vehicle. Exactly.
And by the way, that's the department that I lead is the PPC division. We push traffic to these agent sites. And when in the early days, a lot of agents were signing up just for the site itself. And then it would take years to develop SEO and the organic traffic. It'll come over time, but you have to build out the content. You have to build out the area pages. You've got to do the backlinks. You've got to literally just do all of these things, the keywords, the meta tags, everything to push to get the SEO, right?
And SEO, for anybody listening, is search engine optimization.
Right, of course.
And then PPC is pay-per-click marketing.
Yes, right. There you go. And the paid leads, right, is it's that boost. It's that infusion that essentially people that are searching for homes all over the country, like in your area, Nanaimo, for instance, right? And they're searching for nice homes in Nanaimo, luxury homes in Nanaimo, homes with a pool in Nanaimo, homes with bunnies in Nanaimo, whatever it is, right?
Homes with mooses on Vancouver
the mooses.
Island.
The
Paul's
homes
the only
with the
search
mooses.
found.
Not a lot of traffic there. Google's not referring that out. But so what happens to these people from all over? See, there's impressions served, there's clicks, and then there's conversions, and then ultimately, but the tools and technology without the traffic, it's kind of like, so you need that. And then we've identified a third part, like the three-legged stool. You've got tools, technology, traffic, and then training.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like I have the leads. I've got the system. I've got the leads now. What do I do? And that's where I think coaching fits. Because if they get leads, but they don't understand how to convert the leads, what are they going to do? If they're getting leads, but they don't have the right follow-up protocol, they're not activating the workflows, the drips. I know your team has built out a lot of exclusive drips that are unique, workflows. You have a plan, an action plan for follow. You have a strategy. You've got the playbook, if you will.
100%.
Right? So you've got playbooks. You've got, do this, do that. Here's your first 100 days. Here's how you work an online lead. Here's what an online lead does. Here's how you build rapport. Here's the scripts, right? Yep. And a lot of agents come to us and they've got the leads. We get them the leads, but they don't know how to have success with the leads, right? So they're not getting the ROI. And I think that's what you're passionate about.
100%.
It's the ROI that you can get. You can 10X. Your Real Geek site can get you a 10X ROI if you know what to do with it. So that's the training piece, right? That's the coaching.
Well, some of you are listening right now and you see your website as an expense every month. I see my website as an asset every month. That asset puts money in our account every single month. It has since we started in real estate. Right. In fact, Paul, there hasn't been one single month in 7.5 years, other than the first 2 months in real estate where I hadn't closed a deal yet because I was building them up. Since that, I've not ever had a month where we didn't close deals from Real Geeks.
I love that.
Not one single time except for the first 2.
Yep.
That's powerful. We had 27 sales in the hopper in the first 90 days.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Paul, at least a dozen of those were direct PPC leads from my website through Real Geeks. And we wouldn't be at the level of success if we didn't have you guys as our partner. I can unequivocally say that.
I heard you did 135 transactions in your first year.
Yeah.
That's mind-numbing that's phenomenal success. I love that. That level of success, obviously, and you've gone from there, right? Yeah. To get from that 135 transactions to now you've been a part of over 2,000 transactions, that's massive success. But, I think one of the things that's interesting, I talked to an agent in Colorado Springs, and I went down there, met with him. Essentially, he was on a large team, and the large team was saying, you need to prospect, you need to prospect, you need to prospect. And they recommended 3 hours of prospecting every day, 3 hours of prospecting. The problem is no one did it except for him. And he was the one that said, that's what they tell me to do. I'm going to do it. Yeah. So every day from 9 to noon, 9 to noon, 9 to noon, he prospect 9 to noon. It was his lead gen power hour, the golden hours. Nothing could interrupt him. And what happened is he says, I'm doing this 9 to noon, 9 to noon. My afternoon started filling up with appointments. And so what he found out was, and then he got to a point where he was closing a deal a week. And that was it. And so 52 deals, 52 weeks. And so he was like, I'll just go out and start my own team. And then, 7 years later, kind of like your story, he's done it 7 years later with Real Geeks. And but what he hasn't changed is his team has a habit of prospecting every single day. Right. And I think that the agents, it's like you hear that and you think, I could never be like Jason. I could never be at that caliber. But you get to your status, to what you've done through hard work, determination, discipline, and actually executing on. You don't just hear stuff, but you apply it, right? That's what coaching is, right? Can you 100%. Imagine? I mean, when you coach people, you have agents. Probably the first thing I would imagine, you tell me, but if there has to be an agreement that as your coach, I'm going to tell you what to do, and you have to do it, right? I mean,
I'm going to guide you. I'm going to build the blueprint with you. We're going to customize a plan that's specifically tailored to your needs. I'm going to give you the nudge that you need. I'm going to facilitate the environment for you to be successful. But at the end of the day, you just got to do the work. And I always tell people there's 3 things that you have to bring to the table: attitude, work ethic, and mindset. Mm-hmm. You bring those 3 things, I can make anybody succeed.
That's right.
But if you miss any one of those things, if your mindset's off and you're pessimistic and you're like, oh, this doesn't work, you're going to give up, right? If your attitude's wrong, you're going to come in and you're like, oh, these leads are garbage, right? And if your work ethic isn't there, you're not going to push yourself on the tough days.
Yep.
But if you bring those 3 things, I've never had anybody who's followed our blueprint fail in 12 months, ever, not one time.
Yep.
But people will give up too soon because of one of those things.
That's right.
And we talked about this earlier today.
Yeah.
Failure is not a real thing.
Right.
It's only real if you believe it to be
Right.
real, and which means you quit.
Right.
Because if you don't quit, you're only just getting setbacks
Yes.
and lessons. Everything's a setback and a lesson, right? It's like
Right.
when you're learning to walk, you
Yep.
have to crawl and you fall, and you crawl and you fall.
Right.
But eventually you get it, right?
Right.
Well, it's the same thing. And you can't undo the steps that you've taken.
Right.
So it's like if you get to a certain level of success in life, it's not
Right.
like you immediately go backwards if you have an off week or month.
Yeah.
You still have that knowledge, so you can pick up and just
Right.
continue moving it forwards. So for anybody listening
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
if you don't have an accountability system that you've created for yourself, you
Right.
don't have a clear roadmap, my advice to you is find somebody who's done what you want to do,
Yep.
and then get them to show you that roadmap and get them to put the framework for you to have the accountability you need. Because if you do those things, it'll change your life.
Right. Yeah. You gotta find someone that's walked the road that you want to walk, that's taken the journey that you're looking to take, a guide, if you will.
Yes.
Right. And that's where I think real estate is. It's so much about follow the leader in a way. Like if you are doing 50 transactions a year, looking to a guy that's doing 100 and finding out what they're doing a little differently. If you've got, 5 agents on your team and you look at a guy that has 50, what's he doing differently for recruiting, right? To get those 50 agents. If you're doing 50 million and you're like, well, you could either sit there and rest and go, wow, 50 million, that's not bad, right? But you can say, what is the guy doing that's getting 250 million? That he's doing I'm doing 20% of what that guy's doing. And I work with thousands of realtors around the country. A lot of the large teams, the way they've gotten to be large teams is they've emulated what the other large teams are doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so they look at someone that's in a different market, but has, because it's a lot of that large team to build a successful business. It's almost like a recipe, right?
Yes.
And you have to follow the recipe. Just like you bring it back to fitness and coaching, same thing, right? Like if you bring that same, what'd you say? Attitude,
work ethic, and mindset.
Yes. And like you show up and you put in the work, and then you have the right mindset, optimistic and positivity, and then boom, right? You get real results.
Absolutely.
And that's the big thing. It's like, how are you going to get results if you don't put in the work? How are you going to get results if you don't have the right attitude? How are you going to get results if you don't have the right mindset? And you're bringing those 3 things together with your coaching and saying to these agents, look, you bring me those 3 things, I'll make up the rest.
I'll not only that, I will work with you.
Right.
My team will work with you, and we'll get you to practice your skills.
Right.
Because it's like I could watch Michael Jordan film
Right.
all day.
Yep.
But if I've never been on a basketball court, I
Right.
can't take what I've seen and then bring it to a court.
Right.
In order for me to hit some of those shots,
Right.
I have to put in a lot of
Right.
rep work. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
it's
saying,
the same
and
thing in real estate. People don't practice.
Right. I know that. And I'm smiling because I've seen your Foot Locker essentially in your office. You've got about 10 pairs of Air Jordans in there, which is cool, but you're not going to be like Mike, right?
Impossible unless I put in the work, and it's a lot of it.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
if you want to be at my level,
Yeah.
you have to put in the work.
Put in the
I
work.
practice my skills still to this day.
I love that.
Paul, I've been out of production for 4 years.
Right.
But I practice every single day.
I love that.
I'm constantly practicing
Yeah.
with my students. So if I'm still practicing,
Yeah.
then why aren't you?
That's right.
You need to look in the mirror, guys. If you're listening to this right now and that resonated with you, you're like, oh, I don't practice my skills. You're not going
Right.
to go out there and perform like an all-star.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be an elite 0.01% agent, which is what you should all be striving for. Why would
Yep.
you show up to work and try and just be average at what you
Right.
do?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
Yep. One of our, I've had a conversation. One of our top sales guys, is someone I've known for a while, and he's been in phone sales for 20 plus years, right? So phone, direct, voice to voice, give me a credit card type of sales. It's a grind, as you know, but he's a student of the craft, right? Like, so he's always learning. He's always growing. He's always looking at different sales techniques, different ways to present, different words to use, different, just kind of figuring out and then being taught from the greats what's working. It's like, if you're not learning, what are you doing?
Totally.
If you're not a student, if you're not, and that's where I think, coaching, sometimes you think you're not humble enough for coaching because you think you've got it figured out, or like, oh, I got this, right? And that's a little arrogant, right? Like, we all have areas that we can work on and improve, right? That's why we need someone who's walked the way, who's done it, who's, a coach.
Paul, I meet those
right?
people all the time.
Yeah. Who say, like, I'm good.
They're
I don't need you.
often guys.
Right.
They're often guys, I'll be honest with
yeah.
you, right? For whatever reason,
Right.
I find women tend to be better at being coachable.
Yeah.
A lot of guys come in with ego, and it's just
Right.
like they want to puff their chest
Right.
and act like they already know everything.
Right.
It's like, well, hey, if you already know this,
Right.
then why are you here right now?
Yeah.
Oh, you're telling me that your business is not steady.
Right.
It's up and down and it's a grind.
Yeah.
But then I give you the what you need, and
Right.
then you start telling me, oh, I already do that. And it's
Right.
like, no, you don't.
Right.
Because you could be one ingredient off on a recipe,
Yeah.
literally one ingredient, and the whole thing turns
Right.
out wrong.
Yeah.
Right. If you're baking a cake,
Yeah.
and you forget the flour or the sugar,
Right.
the whole thing is not going to work. So you could be 95% right in your process and have 5% go wrong, and the
Right.
whole outcome is different.
That's right.
And this is what people don't realize. Like,
Yeah.
there's a level of science that needs to be drilled before
Right.
you can become an artist.
Yeah.
And this is what I help people do, is I help you understand the systems and processes.
Right.
And then I allow you to become the artist once you know how to creatively bake the pie.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? You know what's so funny about real estate, because I'm learning that great real estate agents and great real estate teams, it does not happen by accident. Have you ever noticed?
Yeah.
It's not like you accidentally became the top agent in your town. It's
never
right.
accident.
I accidentally became number one in my market. It's always intentional, and it's always through. You learn from your failures, for one. You learn what other people are doing too. You begin to build on your successes and build on your wins and your losses, and you begin to carve out a path. And that's what you've done over the last 7 years. And now you're coming from contribution, which I love, by the way. You're giving back, really.
100%.
You're basically saying, look, I learned all of these things. I've reached a point. Now I'm giving back. And I love that, by the way. But, it's funny to me that, sometimes I think people look at a guy like you and say, I want what he has, or I want to have that kind of level of success. But you said they're not willing to do the things necessary, to follow the recipe. They're not willing to put in the time.
The other thing, Paul, is they haven't seen the 16 years of build up to that point. Right. All they see is the highlight reel. When you're on Instagram and you look at people that have achieved something big, you're only seeing their highlight reel.
Right.
You didn't see the struggles that they went through.
Like, you didn't see Michael Jordan practicing after every practice, staying after to make 100 free throws after every single practice, right?
You didn't see Michael Jordan get cut from his high school team,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like, that happened to Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time.
And then he worked out all summer long and got better. He obviously grew a little bit and everything. But the point is that the real greats will put in the work. I've seen the tapes from Kobe. I've seen them talk about, they had it down to where it's like the average guy's working out in the morning, in the afternoon. I'm going to work out early before breakfast. And, and I'm going to get this many more reps, this many more minutes. Everyone who's at the top of their craft, at top of their sport, top of their game, real estate, no exception.
No exception.
To be a great, you've got to put in the work. Now, one thing that I think is so funny, because I told you I do the lead portion, the marketing portion. We supply the leads for the agents, and we do like a real leads university, a training on lead conversion. And by the way, I'd love to have you on there sometime. But
sure.
The interesting thing is internet leads in general. Let's be honest. Sometimes agents are like, they'll call the first one time. Make a snap judgment. These leads are garbage. Garbage, they say. Garbage. The leads are garbage.
Can I share a quick story?
Yeah, come on.
Okay, so my first 2 months in real estate, while my Real Geek site was getting up, there was an agent at the office that I worked at who I'd sold a website at the competitor that I was at.
Right.
And she sat on those leads for 14 months. She only converted one because she never called and followed up.
Yeah.
So I said to her, I'll give you 50% on anything that I close.
Let me
just work your leads. These are just IDX, the garbage leads that people talk about.
Yeah.
Paul, within 45 days, I made $76,000 in GCI.
That's insane.
45 days.
I wonder sometimes what would happen if people would literally just surrender your leads to some giant pond. There's hungry agents like yourself, and there's hungry agents out there that would attack a pond. I actually used to run an ISA team. I actually used to be an ISA for a top real estate team. And, you have thousands of leads in a pond. And I knew I make 100 dials, and I'm going to get someone into an appointment. Guaranteed. I just knew if I make a couple hundred calls, I'm going to get appointments. Guaranteed. I will stumble across business just from the sheer willpower of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we've figured out with internet leads. So we've done studies, like we did a study that was over, like a 7-year period with over 2 million leads tracked with all of these agents in order to figure out how many we're going to close. And we figured out, and by the way, this is interesting. A lot of people don't know this, that the like social leads, we do search leads and social. So we do, Bing, Google, PPC, plus we also Facebook, Instagram. Some people think, oh, Facebook leads are garbage. People are on there to look at pictures of their, grandkids or whatever. They're not on there to buy homes. We found out that over time, over 3 years, the Facebook and social leads convert at the exact same percentage as the search leads, the paid search leads. Sometimes it seems like there's higher intent because they're putting in the search, like looking for a home in Nanaimo or whatever. But what over time, social and search converted the exact same. And what we found, though, was there was a staggering difference because 1% was like the universal floor, like internet leads convert at 1%. We proved it out. But, the top teams were doing 2.8%, right? So, and I've had like agents that have told me that their team, they've told me they're doing 4-5%. And I'm thinking, what are they doing to get that level? But either way, bottom line, let's say it's 1%. So out of 100 leads, I'm going to close one of those. Well, you can build a business just off that. So scale that, and now I know what 1,000 leads is going to bring me 10 transactions.
100%.
Right? So what is 10,000 leads going to bring me? And you scale it out. And then what happens if that's 1%? You have to know a lot of numbers when you're getting into real estate. You got to know how many calls does it take before someone will answer and I can make a contact.
Yep.
How many contacts do I need to make, voice to voice, before I can have a conversation that leads to an appointment, right?
Yep.
Right? And then how many appointments do I need to fill my calendar with to lead to closing? We always say like the conversations, the calls lead to conversations, the conversations lead to closings lead to your cash. Everyone wants to get to the cash, but you have to figure out and do math. How many calls to get conversations, how many conversations to make appointments, and then to generate those closings, right?
Yep.
And so you sit down and you've done this. That's the beauty of the coaching is you already know what does it take to be successful with converting internet leads.
100%.
And so like I could come into the game as a newer agent who doesn't know anything. I could come to you for coaching and you could say, here's the playbook. Here's what you need to do. And then if I apply that and then I'm off to I've already taken all your learnings from a top agent over 7 years and then condense that, and now I can be successful right out of the gate, presumably.
100%. We'll wrap this up, and I'm going to give you guys one gold nugget that you can take away right now.
All right.
This is one of my favorite questions that you can ask a prospect to really uncover a why quickly. You can use it face-to-face. You can use it over the phone, okay? Paul, what is it about your home right now that isn't quite working for you that has you exploring homes online?
You asking me a question?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
So people are listening, they can write this down.
Nugget.
But
Yep.
how would you answer that?
What is it about your home?
What is it about your home right now,
My
Paul,
home.
that isn't quite working for you that has you exploring homes online?
The location.
Location. Okay. So what's changed in your life, Paul, that has you evaluating a different location?
Spending a lot more time in California these days, Jason.
Okay. Nice.
Yes.
So is there something specific that's brought you to California, and where are you at now?
I'm actually just outside of Seattle.
Okay, cool. So you're really close to where we are right
now we're really getting real personal here, Jason.
You can just role
Do you
play
want my
this. By the way,
exact
Paul,
address,
this
or
is
you
just a
want-
role play.
oh,
You can
this is
make
a
up
role play.
you can make up whatever you want.
Okay,
Paul's not quick on his feet, folks.
You know what?
I love Paul, but he is not quick on his feet.
I'm
When I
sorry.
throw a role play at him, he just thinks I'm talking about him
I
personally.
just get so sweaty because I think you're gonna. Next thing you know, you're gonna ask me for
I
my
think this
social
guy's
security
really
number
worried that I'm
and
like
my
immigration
kids'
or something.
names, and then you're gonna ask me for my date of birth, which I won't tell you, and then all of a sudden we're down a road I don't want to go down.
Man, Paul has a lot of trust with me right now.
Trust me.
Yeah, so make it up, Paul.
Okay, we're just doing a role play.
Just doing a role play.
then
So what
let's
is it
back
about
out
your
of
current
this.
home right now that isn't quite working for you that has you
to tell you the
exploring
truth,
it?
I actually love my current home.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, no change needed.
Okay, cool. Well, if you were to do something in the future,
In the future,
yeah, what would that look like?
well, I would love to spend more time in California.
Okay, nice. Is there
Yeah.
anything specifically that draws you to California?
Oh my gosh, Huntington Beach, the weather, all of the concerts and activities.
Nice. I love that area.
Oh yeah,
So
Orange
beautiful.
County. It's great.
I have a good friend out in Orange
Really
County.
expensive.
It is expensive.
That's the thing.
It is expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there, so, okay. If you were to do something in the future, you'd like to be there.
Right.
is there any reason you haven't done that? What stopped you?
Probably just a couple $1 million short.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's probably the only thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you mentioned that your home seems quite suitable right now.
For now. Yeah.
I mean, if you were to do something locally where you're at, what would that potentially look like in the future?
Are we still in the role play?
Sure.
Or
we can stop the role play. But guys, do you see the point here? The key is like
exploring.
You got to ask good, open-ended questions
I
that
love
get
that.
the prospect to open up. And this is where many of you are failing, and you're staying way too surface level.
Yeah.
Like,
go deeper.
Well, are you pre-approved?
Right.
Are you working with a realtor?
Yep.
Are you looking to buy
Right.
or rent?
Yeah.
Like those aren't rapport building questions. If Paul, after we get off the phone call,
Yeah.
I call you back tomorrow,
Yeah.
and you're like, sorry, who are you?
Who are you? Yeah.
Honey, who is this
Who's
guy?
this guy?
Then I didn't do a very good
This
job
is-
of building rapport and connection with you.
This is the guy that I told him I wanted to move to California, and he asked me about my house in Washington, and we got on a personal level. I love what you're doing, because this is part of what agents need to do. I've always heard the best scripts are the best questions.
Right.
And so when you have a great personable style, you're just making conversation with folks, asking great questions. That is the best script, is the best questions.
Right.
So when you're thinking, you're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to hard sell them. A lot of times internet leads, they get really weirded out because you're going super deep onto what's your financial situation? How much cash do you make? What job? How long you've been in that line of work? And they're like, are you the FBI? Is this some, what is this, a deposition? Don't contact me anymore, right?
Totally.
So you come from curiosity.
Yeah, and the thing is,
come from curiosity.
there's everything that I'm doing is a process.
Right.
You don't know that though, because
No.
it's very conversational.
Very good.
And it's all about understanding the who, what, where, when, why, and how.
Yes.
Because nothing happens until I know those things.
Right.
And we teach an advisory approach, which
Right.
means I'm never going to recommend a next step or anything to anybody until I fully understand who they are, what they're looking for, who's involved. Who else would be involved in this decision? Well, my wife, Natasha. Great.
Yeah.
Well, how does Natasha feel? Oh my God, she's so excited.
Right.
Right. Well, tell me about the areas you're considering.
Right.
Right. Everything is going to be
Right.
around the client. And once the client knows that I understand their needs, because I'll recap it with
Right.
them, and that we're on the same page.
I love that.
Then I can easily make a recommendation. And an easy step could be an educational tour. Hey,
Right.
you know what, Paul? I know that you're only a year away from doing anything,
Yeah.
so no pressure.
Right.
But I think it would make sense for you and Natasha to get out and look at some properties just to get some context for the market.
Yeah.
What I've found historically is my clients who get out there earlier end up making smarter, more informed decisions.
Right.
And so let me ask you, when's a good time that you and Natasha could sneak away for a couple hours to look at some homes? Mm-hmm. Now, that's a great way for me to get you involved in my process.
Yeah.
Now, what's cool about that is,
Right.
say I tentatively book this educational tour. What I'm going to do is before we get out, say on Saturday, I need about 15 to 20 minutes to jump on a quick Zoom call with you and Natasha, Paul. There's two key things that I want to go over with you. Number one is I want to arm you guys with the technology tool so that you guys can get all the up-to-the-minute properties that might suit what you would be looking for in the future. And secondly, Paul, I want Natasha to feel included in this process so that we can get what her wants and needs are.
Right.
Because I can assure you, if it's anything like my wife and I, her needs are going to be a little bit different than yours. And she's going to want to feel included.
Yeah.
So do you guys have time tonight, say 7:30?
That sounded so good. I'm ready. I'm ready to work with you.
Guys, my process is so good. I have agents that I've taken from scratch, Paul,
Yeah.
and I just teach them because they don't know any
I love
different.
that.
I teach them this process, and
Yes.
they're doing 40, 50 sales in their first year.
Unbelievable. And the thing is, I've never heard that. Who, what, when, where, why. Because the when, it's like their timeline, right?
Yeah.
The why, that's their motivation, their why. You get at it. Who's involved, all the pieces, all the decision makers. You're basically answering all the major questions, and then what you're doing is then making a recommendation. Here's what I'm recommending. Here's what I think we should do. Here's what and then at that point they feel like they've been heard, they've been listened to. You've been able to regurgitate back to them, reiterate exactly what they told you. That's called active listening. You basically said, I've heard everything you said, and coming from a place of understanding, now I'm going to make a recommendation. And your tone is so great. So, it's of course, we're going to do whatever you say, right?
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
Everybody's
I
a
love that.
buyer, but
Yeah.
nobody likes to be sold,
Yeah, there you go.
right? I
love that.
I want you to understand what my needs are. That's
good.
And then tailor a solution that makes
good.
sense to that.
That's good.
And our job is to be advisors, not salespeople. You
Gosh.
can't force people into a big decision like buying a home and selling a
Yes.
home, and nobody does that for fun.
I love that. This is good coaching stuff. You know what? I would pay for this, Jason. Thank you very much. Some agents are pretty complacent. They're pretty content. They just want to sort of get by and live a very, let's answer my phones only during these hours. And I just want to do the minimal, right? What you are providing in your coaching is like, here's a catalyst for explosive growth. If you want explosive growth, here's the recipe.
If you want to become exceptional at your craft, I want to work with you.
That's right.
If you're just like, I've already got it figured out and I'm coasting in life, I'm not your guy.
Yep.
My team's not going to be for you.
Attitude, you said attitude,
work
ethic, and the mindset. That's it.
Yeah. And if I could add one other thing, have a good set of core values.
Yeah.
And when I say that, like, be a giving person by nature.
Yeah.
One thing I won't do business with, Paul, is people that are takers. Right? If you come in here and all you're looking at is, I want to take care of myself. Right. I don't care about you.
Yeah.
I'll feel that. I'll smell it out all day long and we'll never do business.
No.
I could be friends with you.
Yeah.
But I'll never do business with you.
Right.
I've surrounded myself with people that are givers.
Good people, yeah.
That like understand that our relationship comes first. You could offer me $1 billion right now cash, and if it meant screwing over any one of my business partners, I would never take the money ever.
And
There's no relationship worth money.
Just from what I've seen from your team and the visit here, the level of care with your team members and in the people that you work with, it's obvious that there's some character there, there's credibility, there's authenticity. And when you talk about the character that's involved, you have to generally, I think bottom line fundamental in life, to be successful, you need to generally be a good person, right? Relationships are the key to life. And if people feel like they're just a means to an end or a number, or like you're using them, like I think real estate in many cases, people look at it, it's very transactional. But the people end up feeling like this was just a transaction to you, right? Yeah. And at the end of it, I believe real estate should not be transactional. It should be relational, right? And my brother, he's a realtor in North Idaho, and he said, realtor for today, friend for life. Yeah. And I think it's not so much like, hey, let's be besties forever, but the idea is that I'm going to care about these people all the way through the process, or as you say, process. Is that how you said that?
Process.
Is that process?
Well, think
I
about
heard
it.
You say it, eh?
Yeah, well, think about it, Paul, logically.
Right.
Okay? Is it pro baseball or is it pro baseball?
Pro baseball, but
okay, so process makes sense.
The COO of Real Geeks.
We've got an Australian in the room. Do you agree with me?
Her,
process, right? Not process. Like, where's the A?
Well, the COO of Real Geeks, we were planning a trip to visit our sister company, Sync, in Atlanta. And I said, well, let's all go to the Braves game. And she said, Braves? Because she's from Canada, right? Our COO's from Canada. And she said, the Braves. And she didn't know about pro baseball. So I'm aware. I was not expecting you, Jason, to be aware of pro baseball.
Pro baseball.
But
professional?
Professional.
Or is it professional?
Professional.
Professional.
Back to business.
Logical to me.
Here we are. Let's not potatoes, tomatoes.
Let's debate some other things.
Let's not go there. But anyways, I appreciate you and what I've seen here, and I appreciate what you're about to offer in terms of coaching and helping our agents have success as well. You're coming from contribution. You're a giving person. And I think that people that follow the process will be very wildly successful.
You can follow the process and get results.
Either way, they're going to have success if they're working with you. I guarantee it, right? Like I can't like money back guarantee it, but I can guarantee it.
Listen,
just like I say, yeah.
And they put in the work.
They put in the work. They're going to get the results. That's the thing. You put in the work, you're going to get
and we
results.
know this because we've done it with hundreds of students already. So the success is there. I mean, we have so many people. We've transformed their businesses.
Yep.
But again, I can't do anything for somebody who has a bad attitude, who has no work ethic, and their mindset is weak to begin with. If you're soft as a human, I'm going to try and toughen you up.
Wow.
But like, if you don't have a little bit of a tough skin, this business is going to eat you up and swallow you out. You have to be able to take rejection. It happens every single day.
Right.
I mean, I'm sitting here with you, Paul, and doing a role play. I'm getting rejection. And like, it's a role play that we're scheduling on my podcast. That happened. You gave me some rejection.
No, I feel rejected.
I feel rejected because you're like, you feeling offended by me asking you a fake role play question.
I felt personal.
I love poking this guy. Like, so good. He's so
I started getting sweaty in the role play.
It's like taking candy from a baby.
Jason, I just want to thank you for being a part of this, keeping it real on location. Thanks for having us, right?
Oh, thanks for being here.
No, honestly, this was a great afternoon, time well spent. not only did we get to hear about your wild success with Real Geeks, but we got to hear about Sims Coaching Academy, all the things you're doing to train agents. And ultimately, I learned a ton today, you know?
Amazing.
Yeah. I love the role plays. I love what you're doing. I love everything about everything. And, you know, I believe that you're on your way to great things. You've already done great things, reached levels that a lot of people would aspire to. And I know that you're a driven person and you're passionate. You're going to go and do even bigger things than this. And we're just glad to be along for the ride. But I appreciate, you know, being a part of this, sharing this moment in time with you. It's been great.
Yeah, appreciate it.